Part 2, introducing the show, Living as a Modern Indigenous Soul. The organization Loren, through David Spangler and Jeremy Berg, have emerged with a new way of beginning to understand and to perceive our relationship to the earth. Jeremy defined this as Gaianeering, the work of preserving and healing and weaving and forging new connectedness to foster greater wholeness in the world. The work of preserving, healing, weaving, and forging new connectedness to foster greater wholeness in the world. Not wholeness for myself only, not wholeness for my country or for my tribe or my group, but realizing inherent in the human psyche, in the human potential, in our human energies, at the core of our light and who we are, we have a consciousness of the earth that's available to us. And this consciousness is emerging each day, so that we hold within ourselves the possibility to not just look at ourselves in relationship to my community or my tribe, but realize that how I as an individual, in my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, has an impact. Not just what I choose to do from a green ecological perspective, but what I'm doing and how I'm thinking and feeling inside of my own head, let alone how I express those thoughts and feelings and images to others around me, affects the presence of the earth itself and all aspects of it, from the environment to the people, to our technologies, to everything and everything around us. He also then created the term a Gaianeer, one who works in collaboration with a planetary community of physical and non-physical, human and non-human life to envision and unfold planetary wholeness. Over thousands of years, we begin to think of everything around us in the physical world. And there is a supportive energy people have been aware of the subtle world forces. But we've always kept that as something that's separate. But when we really begin to take a true modern day indigenous soul perspective, or a Gaianeering perspective, we begin to realize when I think of the earth, I'm not thinking and talking about what's physically around me. And then there's this subtle world of forces and beings and structures and devas and the she and others that are here to work in my best interest. Rather, their wholeness is knowing there is a collaborative, a partnership that is in constant flow and interaction between the physical and the non-physical, between the human and the non-human. So when I use the word wholeness and showing wholeness and connection and relationship throughout this show and what I'm talking about and the visual images that I've chosen to use to describe this relationship, it is the collaboration of how I am communicating as a ritual communicator, a shaman, a modern indigenous person, between the physical and non-physical, between the human and the non-human life. Together we are always in constant interaction, in relationship, of creating what Loren calls the Homo Gaian. Not a Homo sapien, but the Homo Gaian, the individual in its relationship to the whole, creates a new me. A me that lives this aspect of planetary communication between physical and non-physical, human and non-human life, to envision this unfolding planetary wholeness. These are examples from my teachings and my perspective of exploring and allowing the awareness to come forward on what it is to live as a Homo Gaian individual, or putting it into another words, living as a modern indigenous soul. The most important thing is that I am not a special person. In the potential of humanity that I have begun to explore in the late 1970s, I became aware of. There is this unlocked potential. Researchers would say in our brain, we only use 2% of what's available to us, and there's 98% to explore. That fascinated me in the 70s. And I began to ask the question continually, what is this other 98% in our brain that we're not using? And I realized the brain only becomes the transmitter that brings together a different sense of senses and awarenesses for ourselves that gives us the opportunity to really experience wholeness from the perspective of physical and non-physical, visible and non-visible, human and non-human forms, working together in a way that we have never been able to work together before. This, on my website, at the end of this show, I will have some resources on how the Loren group in books and classes and structures are helping people to live this. They did a conference this last summer in 2017, and I was one of the keynote speakers at this conference, talking about exactly this title of what this show represents, the living as a modern indigenous soul. And I shared how the 69 years of my life have supported me in many experiences to build this relationship of awareness, what today I would say is a Homo Gaian perspective, out of a Gaianeering, and I am a Gaianeer. Because anything that I do, when I'm looking at finances, when I'm looking at relationships, when I'm looking at healing, when I'm looking at creativity, when I'm exploring my relationship to my home or to my environment or to my work, whatever it is that I'm involved in, I realized back in the early 1980s, in the work that I began to establish, that we are here to have a relationship, a living relationship, between the subtle and the physical, between the invisible and the visible. And it is only how this relationship works together do I begin to experience my potential and my possibilities that alters the ways that I perceive, that allows me the opportunity to see life in a different way, in a different perspective. So the decisions that I make about my own life or my marriage or my relationship, my friends, my community, my work, knowing that whatever that I say and think and do will build a win-win situation and allowing a new emergence to occur. For I am not trying to create work or a job. I'm not trying to learn something, but rather I'm changing who I am to be the person that knows how to learn, that knows how to love, that knows how to interact with money, who knows how to interact with my creativity, who knows how to interact with life For I cannot be who I was yesterday and do something new and different today unless the I inside of me emerges and grows and sprouts into someone that's new and that's different and alive. The Loren group, through Guyneering and other things that they do, is one path and road. And I will also describe in the next section, part 3, the path and the road that I am also involved in both of these through the Zutzihil Maya, and how through their structures of rituals and communications assist people to live between the physical and the non-physical, the human and the non-human, unfolding a wholeness that's there.